teach you how to crochet this candy cane ornament. It's super easy to make. Let me show you. You just need to make this and this. Okay, well, you'll need a pipe cleaner too, but that's pretty much it. This is a classic pattern from 1980. I found it in my collection of vintage crochet patterns from my Auntie M. So it's not an original, but I love this pattern. Like I said, it's so easy. You just need to know the basics of crochet, like a chain and a single crochet. But don't worry, I'm gonna do my best to keep this tutorial beginner friendly, and I'm gonna walk you through the whole thing. All right, are you ready? Let's get started. Let's chat about the materials. You're gonna need red and white yarn. This is just worsted weight acrylic yarn from Michaels. I love the look of the acrylic yarn for these. Like, I feel like the fuzziness just gives it this vintage vibe, but you can use any type of yarn you want. Just make sure that both colors are the same size and weight, because you're gonna want your coils to come out the same size for when you combine them. Now, with all that being said, I'm actually gonna be using a different type of yarn for this video to show you how to make the spirals or the coils, whatever you wanna call them. I think this will just be a lot easier for you to see on camera. Just pretend it's this red and white yarn. For this yarn, I used a 5mm hook. And then, very important, you're gonna need pipe cleaners so that the candy canes can kind of hold their shape with their bend. Otherwise, they're just gonna kind of stay straight. And then we got our crochet classics. I have a needle, and then we have scissors. Make sure that the scissors you use are big enough to cut pipe cleaners, because we'll need to trim those down. All right, are you ready? Let's get started. So use your imagination that this is the correct yarn. Once we finish making the coils with this yarn, I'm gonna jump back in using these two pieces. So to start, we need to make a slip knot. So hold the yarn like you normally do. Wrap it around your pointer finger twice. So we got 2 loops right here. I'm gonna take this back loop, pull it up and over the front loop, and then I'm going to pull this new back loop up, over, and off the finger, and then pull it down tight. And we have our slip knot. I'm gonna grab my hook and put it through the hole and pull it tight. Now we are ready to make our chain. We're gonna start by chaining 40. Do your best not to hold your tension too tight so your chain isn't too tight, because we're gonna be working a lot of stitches into it later, but if you do, it's not the end of the world. All right, so to chain, we're going to yarn over and pull it through the loop. 1, now we need 40. 2, 3, 40. There we go, we have our chain 40. So we're gonna take our chain and pull it this way and make sure we have the right side up. The right side, you'll see all the V's going down it. This is the back side. So we want the top side, right side, whatever you wanna call it, facing up with the V's. And we're gonna be working row 1, our only row, all the way down the chain. So row 1 is going to be 3 single crochets into each chain all the way down, starting from the second chain from the hook, and let me show you that. All right, so we have our first loop around our hook, and then we have our first chain, which you can see the V right here, and then we have our second chain right here, the next V. We're gonna be working into the second chain like that. I love this yarn because it's so clear and easy to see on tutorials, but depending on what yarn you use, it might not be as clear, so hopefully this helps. Like I said, we're doing 3 single crochets into each chain all the way down, and we're gonna start with that second chain. So I'm gonna skip this one right here, and then go into that second chain, yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over through the 2 loops. And that is our first single crochet. Now we need to do 2 more into that same spot. Once you do a crochet, it kind of opens up a hole, which makes it a little bit easier to see. But we need to do a total of 3. So here's my next one into that same spot that we just worked. 2, and then 1 more into that same spot. Really stretch it out. 3. Great, now we have 3 single crochets into the second chain from the hook. Now we need to work into the next chain. If you're a beginner, it could be a little bit confusing on where to work. because sometimes if you see that nub right there, that's a little bit confusing, but we just worked so many stitches into that chain that it really stretched out. And that's actually, I think, this little nub from the back of the chains that's getting pulled through. So I want to make sure that I work into the next V. So this is the next V. It's getting kind of pulled. Here's the V after it. Here's the V after it. Here's the V after it. You can really try to like find that like, oops, top piece right there that comes next. All right, so into the next chain. My first single crochet. Now I need to do 2 more into that same spot. 1, 2, for a total of 3. Now I'm just going to keep working, doing the same thing down the whole chain into the next chain. Yarn over, pull through, 1 single crochet. Yarn over, pull through, 2 single crochets. Yarn over, pull through, 3 single crochets. And keep working down. And you'll notice as you go, 2, 3, we'll finish my thought, it starts to kind of curl like the coil should, because we're stuffing it with so many stitches into this poor little chain. So I'm gonna keep working my way down, doing 3 single crochets into each stitch. I'm gonna pause the camera, but you keep doing that. I'm gonna pause the camera and jump ahead, but you keep working all the way down, 3 stitches into each chain, and I'll see you at the end. All right, I'm back, finished my coil doing 3 single crochets into each chain all the way down, starting at the second chain. I'm being repetitive, but make sure that you don't skip any stitches or any chains because we're making 2 of these. So we wanna make sure that they're the same size, but obviously not for this one. I actually have the white yarn at home, so maybe I should finish it, but anyways. So once you finish your coil, we need to finish off. So I just do a chain, and then cut the yarn and pull through and then pull that tight. Now you'll see we have 2 ends right here. To kind of secure it, I like to tie them together. You can even do it one more time. And just pull it tight. And then I trim these 2 ends. And there we go. Be like a fun little toy for a kid too. Okay, so once you finish your first coil, you need to repeat those steps and make one of the opposite color. So I have my red one, I would be making my white one, but I'm actually going to switch back to my original yarn, so I already have these both made. One thing I want to note is when I made this, I guess you didn't watch me the full time, it came out in a completely perfect spiral as I was making it, but in the past with this yarn, I don't know if you might see some trouble like I've had in the past where it looks a little bit like this. That's totally okay. You just need to take this spiral and just kind of like twist it back around until it is back into the perfect shape. Now it's time to put them together. But before we do that, I just want to make sure that these are the same length. You see how this red one is a little bit longer? That's just because it's twisted a little bit tighter. All I need to do is kind of untwist it so it loosens up a little bit. Or I guess I could do the opposite with the white. And then they become the same size again. So to put them together, I start by taking the top, and you see how each of the top kind of has this like C shape, the beginning of our spiral, and they're facing the same direction. I actually want to turn them so they are opposite directions. So this one has the end starting at the top, and this one has the end starting at the bottom. And then I'm gonna bring them together and then just kind of hook them in like they're holding hands or hugging or something. So it should look like that. Then I'm gonna continue just kind of twisting them together, following the natural rhythm of their spiral. So it looks a little bit like this. I just keep bringing them around each other. It's actually pretty easy to mess this up or get something twisted the wrong way, but you can just keep twisting it around and you should be able to get it to face the right direction. If not, it's totally okay just to pull them apart and start over again. I've definitely done that a bunch of times. There we go. It's combined, but it's not very pretty. So what I do is just kind of go around and twist it out to make sure, oh, see, this is all kind of twisted the wrong way. But just make sure everything looks aligned. Okay, don't mind me being a perfectionist over here. Okay, see, it looks much better. So that's it. Now we have our candy cane. No, I'm just kidding. I wish it was that easy. We actually need to add a pipe cleaner because that kind of is what holds it together. Otherwise, we just get this like peppermint stick, which I think they do make those. So it's time to grab your pipe cleaner. You definitely want to make sure you add this in after you combine the red and the white coils, because we want to make sure it's its final length, because they kind of stretch out once you put them together. Here, look, I have this one over here. So that was before we combined them. So if you have a long pipe cleaner, you're gonna have to trim it down. I'm actually gonna be using this one because I started using it before, but it's still too long. We need to make sure to cut the pipe cleaner a little bit shorter than our piece because we don't want the pipe cleaner to be poking out on either end. So it's a lot easier to do when it's shorter than the candy cane. I think I'll do it to like right about here. So now we have our pipe cleaner that's a little bit shorter than our coil, and we need to get this into the center. So the original pattern says to take the pipe cleaner and push it through the center all the way through, but that's impossible. It's just so hard. If you're watching this and you're able to do it, that's very impressive. Let me know in the comments. But otherwise, I'm gonna show you the way I like to do it. I feel like it's a lot easier. So I like to take my pipe cleaner and weave it into the candy cane in sections of 2. So like this would be a section of 2, this would be a section of 2. It's just one red and one white one. And to start, I go to the top and I don't want to start at the end. I kind of turn it so I get like a full side. And here is my first 2. I'm actually going to start 4 in. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to take my pipe cleaner and just stick it in between right there, so the end isn't poking too far out, because if you do that, if the edge of the pipe cleaner is too far out, it's going to be sticking at the top. So I like to start it pretty close to the edge. Now I'm going to take my next group of 2, which would be these 2 right here, and I'm just going to kind of twist them around while I'm pushing the pipe cleaner under. And I'm just gonna keep doing that in groups of 2, twisting around the pipe cleaner. This is the same thing as before when we're combining the coils. It's easy for it to get like twisted out of place. You can usually just kind of wiggle it back together, but if you missed a coil or something, you're gonna have to pull it out and start over. All right, there we go. Now we still have the top poking out, so I kind of do the opposite direction and kind of twist it back in. See how close it is to the edge? Right there, it's almost poking out, but you're usually able to kind of twist it out and fix it again, just like before. There we go, now it's looking nice. Now we just need to bend it, and it stays in place. Amazing. Now I just need to show you how to add the loop so we can hang it on our Christmas tree. So today I'm going to show you how to make the loop with the red yarn that we use to make the candy canes. That's how they did it in the original pattern. You could also use the white yarn if you want. In the past, I've also used this like gold string. I thought it was pretty, and it doesn't show as much when you're hanging it on the tree. Or you can even get wire hooks. You can really do whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. All right, so I have my red yarn and I'm going to thread my needle. So make sure it's curved how you like it. And then we're gonna take the needle and sew it in between two sections, just like before. We wanna go at the top, but we wanna make sure we're not too far forward of the bend because the back end will be too heavy. When you hang it, it'll kind of sit like this. So we wanna be at the center or even a little bit further back to give it some more support. So I think I'm gonna do these two. So I'm gonna take my needle and go down towards the pipe cleaner and just kind of bring it through and pull it through. Now I'm gonna cut this piece off right here, and we're gonna take the two ends and we're gonna tie it in one little knot like this, and then kind of pull it down to make it how long you want your candy cane to hang. I feel like that's good. It's hard to judge without a Christmas tree in front of me. Okay, once I have a good length, I'm gonna tie around one more time to kind of secure our knot. And pull that tight. And then one more knot. Now you can leave the knot at the top like that, or even tie it in a bow if you felt creative. But what I like to do is first I'll pull it tight, make sure it's tight, and I will cut off the ends. And then just kind of twist it back down so the knot is kind of hidden underneath the coil. There we go. So now you know how to make a candy cane ornament. See, I told you it was simple, right? Hopefully you enjoyed this video and it was easy to follow along. If you end up making this candy cane, let me know in the comments because I'm always curious who tries my patterns and it's nice to hear from you guys. All right, thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.